Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Krash Palisades server. My name is Wedge as always, and we are back. We're here at my house, and I love this house. You know, I love all the eccentric bits and pieces that I've stuck on here and there, all the buttons and all the fence posts and all that. But you get to the roof, and even though it's got the sort of swoopy shape at the front side, on this side there isn't much. There's just cobblestone. And I was thinking I could really do with getting around and changing that at some point. So I think that's what we're going to do today. Oh, we made it. Sweet. Fantastic. Okay then, let's go. Now, I was sitting around the other night wondering of things to do, and I showed you this side in particular. I love it when that happens, don't you? Because I have a little design that I thought I'd show you first before replicating. And I'm quite pleased with it. We'll see what you think. But, hang on, pretty low on health, and we could do with eating. But yes, it's been the first episode in about 1 month. Or has it? Yeah, 1 month. When we trolled Mellors with the happy. And since then the Crystal Crow's taken another hit and she isn't being able to record for a while. But I'm going to give it a shot, you know. I've missed being on KP. There's something really nice about it. I mean, it's my only Minecraft series, and I've been trying to do Aperture Tag, which has been delayed because I've got builders outside that, you know, distract me from the recording and the editing and so forth. But anyway, the server itself, the map's been partially corrupted over the months with few people playing on it and it being loaded all the time. So yeah, that's a problem. On the upside, Mellors has thought of a solution, but on the downside it may involve killing all the animals that we've tamed on the server. And that is going to be one heck of a downer. Anyway, there we are. That is the design that I went for. It's sort of pointy. It looks almost like, you know, a spade on a playing card. That's what we could call it, the Ace of Spade window. And that's the sort of shape of the window frame itself. The window, the panes of glass are sort of in a circular shape, but with a little bit jutting off, and then there's bits of wood showing here and there to act as bracing for the roof. And I think it livens up, you know, this whole dull area. I mean, there might be something we can do here and here, but I haven't had any ideas for that yet. Maybe we'll do it in a later episode. But anyway, let's get back down without dying. So yes, there is a slight chance that all of the animals on KP may die at some point. Can we? Yes, we can. Oh yeah, that's the thing about this snapshot. It's a little bit buggy, to say the least. And now we get out. Use a bit of cobblestone. I'm just thinking, this water's probably going to flood straight in as well, so I probably better block it up as well. Just to be on the safe side. If I'm a bit dozy, it's for good reason, because it's currently 1:40 AM. here in England, and I'm currently operating on a different time zone, and I'll explain that now. While I was away, I went to America for the first time, and boy, I don't know what to say. It was an incredible experience. I mean, you know, sitting about it now, I've been back for a month. Almost, a month or so. And I just think that it is one of the most surreal things, you know, in my entire life. I've never done anything like this before, and it'll probably be a little while before I do anything like it again. And it probably won't, you know, it won't have the same impact because, you know, I'll have done it before. But I haven't left England since October 2001. And we went to Spain that year. And ever since then, you know, our family hasn't liked flying. My mother hasn't liked the idea of, all the security. I mean, when we last flew, it was, a month after 9/11 pretty much, and, nothing had really been implemented that changed, the airport routine. But in the years since, they implemented, body scans and pat-downs and all sorts of things like that. And, it's what they say in the media about it being, really invasive. It isn't really. It just isn't. I mean, at least at Manchester Airport, that you just go through a metal detector, and that's it. And in the American airports, you've got those full body scanner things that can see through your clothes. But thankfully, the guy standing there operating it isn't looking at your junk. It's some other guy in an office far away that's looking at your junk. But I digress. I haven't flown for a long time. I haven't left England for a long time. I haven't ever left Europe. And I've, the nearest thing I've done to this has been going to London on my own, which I'll get onto in a bit. Or going to Coventry for Insomnia when I saw Mellors. So, this is a big deal, as you can imagine. Going stateside, and the whole experience was just amazing. Like I say, I keep saying it was amazing. I can't think of any better superlative, but it's the best one I can think of. I mean, it just was. I mean, from the get-go, when I was dropped off to catch the plane, my heart was in my mouth, and it's not because, of the flying. I actually love flying. I remember when I was a little kid getting on the flights to Spain or to Greece or wherever back in the late 90s, that I'd love it. The whole takeoff, accelerating down the runway faster than you could go in the car on the motorway, that sort of thing. And then when you got into the clouds and you left the grim Mancunian weather behind, everything was just, it was unreal. And I don't know, when I flew, it was like that again. I remember when I was, ascending away from Manchester and we got above the clouds, and it was, the perfect blue sky and the endless hills of cotton wool rolling off into the distance over the Northern Atlantic. I think I remember I definitely welled up just looking at it, because it was, staggering, because you feel like you're on top of the world when you're in a plane. I mean, I know some people don't like flying at all, but I love it. The flying is an experience in itself, but that's only because I haven't flown for, decade or so. Anyway, yeah, so I haven't ever done anything like this before, and I was sort of out of the reach of my mum as well, because she doesn't have a valid passport right now. So if anything was to go wrong, I'd be on my own for this. So that was sort of playing on my mind a little bit. And, the whole thing was, going to a different country to stay at a family's house. I wasn't staying in a hotel, and that was one of the things that I sort of was wary of, because I'm a very private person. The only people I can live with, for long periods of time is my mum. The only person, I should say, because I do like to keep to myself where possible. And whenever I'm travelling, I always stay in a hotel. I remember I stayed in a guest house back a few years ago in Colwyn Bay, North Wales. And I really didn't like it, because it felt like I was staying in a stranger's house. I really like hotels because they are, impersonal. You check in, you check out. There's not really many questions asked. Once you're in the room, you're on your own. Can't really be disturbed, and you can just breathe a sigh of relief because, you've got your own small domain. So that was one of the things that I was freaked out about, because, like I said, I was staying at, I was staying at the Evil Olive's house for 2 weeks, and I was worried about that. Like I said, I was worried if anything went wrong, but sometimes when you take a deep breath and jump and you do something that you'd never think you'd normally do, and it pays off, it's beyond all expectations, then, you know, it's those experiences that make life worth living. And I know it's a cliche, but it is, let's be honest, it is. And America was, you know, well, I think, you know, you hear me now, I'm struggling for words to describe it. It was incredible, to say the least. I mean, even the journey back to that, I know, you know, the plane that I first got on that was flying out of Manchester was bound for JFK. And I put it to Twitter that, you know, do you see the New York skyline as you're coming in to descend at JFK? And my mother was just laughing at me because no one replied, so she said, you're not going to see anything, it's all, you know, you're going to miss out. Oh boy, was I glad that she was wrong. As the plane flew in, I think we were flying a bit early, and, you know, the ground control were trying to get a few more planes on the ground before we came in. Our plane was just circling above JFK, and because it isn't that far from New York City, I saw the whole thing. It was like a panoramic view of the whole of Manhattan. The first thing I saw was, you know, Lower Manhattan, the downtown area. And, you know, very first thing was One World Trade Center, this massive needle-like structure looming above. It was twice as tall as all the other buildings surrounding it easily. It was gargantuan. It's the biggest skyscraper I've ever seen. You know, I've never been to, like, you know, as you know, I've never been to Dubai or something, so I haven't seen the Burj Khalifa. But that thing was just enormous. You know, the tallest thing I'm familiar with, you know, is the Shard in London, before this anyway. And, you know, this thing was a lot taller. I mean, I think it's 1776 feet tall. I see what they did there. You know, from street level to the top of the aerial anyway. So that was a stunning sight, but it was also quite a sobering sight because, you know, and it reminded me of when I'd flown last, because it was so soon after 9/11. I was in I was flying in a plane, you know, the reason why that building is there, because, you know, the planes took out the other Twin Towers. So that was kind of a sobering thought, just to think that as I sat there, you know, sometime in the 2000s, 3,000 people had been, you know, being killed in that place, and it was a sobering thought. And, you know, I won't dwell on that for much longer, but it's one of the things I was thinking as I was sitting in the departure lounge in the place, because I got a view of, you know, New York City from the departure lounge, and I was just sitting there looking at it, thinking about it, and thinking about other things, but also seeing New York City's on, you know, on my bucket list, and that was one of the things that I'd managed to do. I mean, I didn't get to stay there. I was only in New York City for, well, not even New York City, just JFK Airport for about 3 hours, and, you know, one of those was spent because it was an international flight. I had to get through the US Customs, which was slightly intimidating. I mean, the guys, you know, you've got, before you go to America, you've got to sign a form that says that you've never murdered anyone, you're not part of Al-Qaeda, you were never a Nazi in the 1930s. I mean, considering I was born in the 1990s, that's a bit of a tall order, you know, a bit of an ask for me to be a 1930s, you know, Nazi oppressor. But no, you've got to answer it. Anyway, so once you get through that, you've got to go through the whole, you know, immigration. And it isn't so bad, you know, if you've got a British passport, because they've got this visa waiver program that just lets you in and out for about 70 days if you're just a visitor. So that was cool. You've got to, you know, have your thumbprint scanned. And in fairness, with the ESTA, the thing where you say you're not a Nazi, you've got to sign away all your human rights. But, you know, I know that I'm not a suicide bomber. Even though people say I'm terribly evil, I wouldn't do that. And Axel did think I had to leave my brain behind at Manchester because it'd be too dangerous to bring on a plane. But you know, as long as you know you're not going to do anything stupid and you stay away from, you know, dangerous things, then you'll be fine. But the flights were fantastic. I mean, the second flight, you know, the one flying to San Francisco, you saw the whole of the bay, pretty much, you know, as I was coming in, saw the Golden Gate Bridge, Alcatraz, Transamerica Pyramid, all of that, pretty much, on the first day. So yeah, that was awesome. But, you know, I've got to say here in this video, even though the probably never see it, and Olives might, but the family won't, thank you so much, because you treated me better than, you know, I deserve to be. You know, you've got some English bum coming to stay for a few weeks, and you were awesome. You were truly awesome. You know, really comfy bed, and all my fears, you know, I was able to put out of my mind. You know, I was saying about, you know, sort of feeling uneasy about staying in, you know, people's houses. I mean, I'd met her parents when we were in London, and I'll come to that in a minute, for the first time. But, you know, they were still relative strangers, and you know, staying in their house was kind of scary, but nonetheless it was amazing just to be there. And as I say about London, well, as you can probably gather, we'd already met before, and that was another experience. I don't know, I was reminded of London, you know, when I was getting off the plane. I mean, it wasn't to the same degree, but when I was in London, we were meeting at Earl's Court Tube Station, because they've got a real police box there. Because we're Doctor Who fans, we thought, you know what better place than to meet up there. And on the day that we were meeting at 11 o'clock by the TARDIS, I went off to get some things from the store for their family, just so they wouldn't know I was a complete... just so they'd know that I wasn't a complete jackass. But once you know, I got there, I was a couple of minutes early. I looked down Earl's Court Road, and I see the evil Olives for the first time, walking along with her dad. You know, it's fair enough that her dad came. I could have been anyone. I could have been a serial killer, you know, a Dexter Morgan waiting to happen. But he came along for the day and made sure that I wasn't a complete nutcase. But it was that moment when, you know, I saw her for the first time, and she was walking along, and it was a heart in your mouth moment. It was truly terrifying but exhilarating at the same time, because this person that I knew her really well, you know, then, but I'd only ever known her, you know, through Skype. So, you know, just seeing someone that, you know, you've met and you know really well come towards you in the flesh for the first time, and you reduce a distance of 6,000 miles to 6 feet. It's one of those moments. It was almost a fight or flight moment. It wasn't fight, but I was almost like, I'm scared going through with this because of it. But that was an amazing day in London, and it was then that, you know, a family said, have you ever been to America, and, you know, you should come and visit. So that was me returning the favour, because technically they weren't coming to England last year. They wanted to go to Spain, but the evil Olives convinced them to bring them to England so we could hang out for a day. And yeah, that was awesome. This roof's getting there. Yeah, I'm happy with how this is looking. We've done it pretty quickly as well. But as I was saying earlier about, you know, things on the bucket list, I've got a lot done for that week, for those 2 weeks, sorry. I mean, you know, we walked around San Francisco for, you know, twice, which was really nice. I mean, San Francisco, there's an eccentricity to it that's brilliant. You know, there's eccentricities about, you know, a few cities. Like Liverpool has its own eccentricities, but so does San Francisco, and it was fantastic. I mean, on the first day that we went, there were street vendors there, And there was a guy that was selling like handmade obsidian knives. And the street vendors have like an interesting routine where they show you the stock and then they're very quick to show you that they're licensed to be selling things. Because I'm imagining that, you know, they're often worrying that if they don't show the license, they've got to by law, and if they don't, it could be a sting or something. So you know, they just, as a precautionary measure, they show it to everyone. But yeah, so that was that. And then the second time we went to San Francisco, because the first time all we really did was walk around Pier 39, which was, it was, you know, quite a touristy area. It was nice, but it was very busy, very touristy. So that was all we got done that day. But the second time that we went back to Pier 39. We had our lunch there, and it was an incredible lunch because you look out at Pier 39 to the left of it, where I was sitting in this restaurant, a little Japanese place, and to the left of you was Alcatraz, you know, just sort of sitting there in the middle of the bay, just, you know, most famous prison in the world, right there. And then if you look a bit further round behind you, you saw the Golden Gate Bridge. And that was sort of a reminder of all those happy hours I spent watching Homeward Bound Lost in San Francisco as a kid. Oh, I thought I was going to go straight through into the bedroom then. So there was that. And then later on that day, we went to Ghirardelli Square. And for the folks in England... Oh, sod off, fanboy. Ghirardelli Square. Well, Ghirardelli is a very famous and very nice brand of chocolate in America. And they make it in, you know, I think they make it in San Francisco. It's like, for the folks in Britain, if you've ever been to Cadbury's World or something, it's I don't know, it's like the equivalent of that, but it's not as tacky, if you know what I mean. So that was great. And then after that, we walked up. I think it was Hyde Street, I'm not sure, but anyway, it had a cable car running up at it, and it intersected with Lombard Street. I'm sure someone will know, and they might want to correct me, and, you know, go right ahead. But it intersected with Lombard Street towards the top. But my God, that hill was steep. I mean, you know, San Francisco's built on a hill, but you don't know it's built on a hill until you walk it. Oh man. For the next few days, you know, mine and Olive's legs was sort of buzzing from all of that walking up a hill, and there were people going up it, you know, backwards because it was easier for them. Anyway, so yeah, we walked up Lombard Street, and then we went back on the streetcar down towards Market Street again, where we got in from the BART. But at that time, it was about 5 o'clock in the evening. It was rush hour. So I said to Olives, listen, it's going to be busy as hell on the BART right now. And here's one thing about the evil Olives. Until I visited, she'd never been on the San Francisco cable car. And fortunately, the Market Street BART station, that sort of area, intersects with California Street. And right at the end there was a cable car stop. So we thought, you know what? Let's kill an hour. Let's jump on this. And let's have a look at the city. And riding that cable car, I said this to Olives. You know when you want to wage a train, you take like a chunk of it, a core of it out, and you can see the rings, and you see the whole lifespan of the train, everything about it. Well, it's a weird analogy, but that's what that cable car ride was like. I saw everything about San Francisco in 10 minutes, very condensed, very quickly, as if, you know, we'd taken a core out of it and just examined it in that space of time. I mean, we went, you know, past Chinatown, past Grace Cathedral, you know, saw everything it had to offer, and that's what I was, you know, it was, like I said, it's got its eccentricities, and, you know, you got full view of that as you were going, and it was brilliant, you know, and I think the Evil Olives was was happy that she'd done it as well. Look, that's looking better, isn't it, than that plain cobblestone roof? But she was glad that she'd done it because that was, you know, that was something that she'd done. But I'm just as guilty. I mean, I'm from the Merseyside area, and I've never been to the Beatles Museum in Liverpool, so that's fair enough. Maybe if she comes to visit, we can do that. I don't know if she's a Beatles fan so much. I'll have to find out. But anyway, that was San Francisco. It's a glorious city, so if you're ever, you know, if you're ever there, just enjoy is all I can say, because it's brilliant. And the little thing I noticed, that the cranes just at the edge of Alameda County, I think it's Alameda County anyway, but there are these massive cranes at the port, and they are what they based the AT-AT, you know, the giant walkers from Star Wars on. That was a cool little fact. But I did so much in those 2 weeks, it was fantastic. And one of the best bits, and as a super nerd, and I'm sure there are a few super nerds out there that watch me and will understand, I went to the Intel headquarters in Santa Clara, and yeah, if you see my Twitter picture, then that's me standing, you know, right outside the Robert Noyce building, you know, main entrance to the Intel headquarters, you know, gurning like an idiot in front of the logo. But it was brilliant. That, you know, that was like nerd mecca, almost a pilgrimage that I felt like I'd made. Oh, I know it's a ridiculous analogy, but that's sort of how it felt. But anyway, guys, I've rattled on long enough. You know, I think we've improved the look of the house a fair margin. We'll go and take another look outside. You know, let's sleep. Can't sleep. I haven't been able to sleep since I got back either. Right, you know what? Let's light it up a bit, and we'll go and look from outside. We might want to light this one up as well, because it's a little dark in here. But yeah, that was America. And the flight back was good as well, because I'd done 3 great American cities in 2 weeks. I mean, it was only like, you know, it was only 3 hours in New York, 2 weeks in San Francisco, and then like an hour and a half or so in Chicago. But Chicago was good. I saw the whole of the city. I caught a glimpse of John Hancock Center and the Willis Tower. But that was good. I think I've got a recording somewhere of the plane's descent going into Chicago. That looks a lot better, doesn't it? And I had this crazy milkshake there from a McDonald's, because that's the only McDonald's I had when I was there, just this milkshake. But it was fantastic. Squirty cream, fancy cherry on top. Loved it. And the food was great in America. But anyway, guys, like I say, rattled on long enough. So thank you so much for watching if you have. And I shall see you next time. And hopefully I'll be pretty soon, because I'm back now, and I'm glad to be back. Take it easy, guys. Bye-bye.